Everybody, welcome back to Miami Minute on Wicked Good Everything, where we cover my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. And I have to say, after 5 years of not having the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football, this has thrown my schedule off quite a bit. I'm, quite frankly, just used to the occasional Thursday night game and the more common 1 o'clock kickoff. But hey, I'll take it. Even though it's a 16-10 win, I'll take this little bit of prime time. Tua's back. It wasn't the best game, but I think there are a lot of positives we can take from this. Like I said, first and foremost, it is a victory Monday with the Dolphins defeated Steelers 16-10. At the beginning of this game, it really did seem like the Dolphins were going to just run away with it. They scored 13 points in the first quarter, and that really could have, maybe should have, been 21 points. I always wear hats. My hair is getting in my face. But they left 8 points on the field. Then they only kicked a field goal in the second quarter. And then the second half, they didn't score at all. They could have kicked another field goal to make it a 19-10 game. But the Steelers also didn't score in the second half. So really, I can't imagine how boring this game was for people who were not fans of the Dolphins or Steelers. So for that, I apologize and kind of think we might not be on prime time too often due to that, but that's quite all right. The big story here, I mean, they mentioned it several times on the broadcast, probably more than several, mentioned it tens of times on the broadcast. Tua is returning from a concussion. He was out for 2 weeks after, the Thursday night game where he was knocked unconscious. Everybody knows who's watching this, of course. And he looked a little rusty, I'll be honest. He still went 21 of 35 for 261 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, with the giant caveat that there are at least 4 should have been interceptions during this game that fortunately weren't there. So, again, the rust is to be expected. Hopefully, while he can practice more, he can get back to normal, get back to the Tua that we know that he is capable of being. The second big storyline from this game was, of course, Brian Flores is now a linebacker coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins and is suing the Dolphins and the league in general. So it was brought up a little bit. Tua said he didn't talk to Flores. Not that surprising given where they stood based on all the reports that were coming out from the last few years. But, I have to mention that the defense played very well. I mean, I know Kenny Pickett is a rookie, but they still picked him off 3 times, including Noah Igbenogany, who was our first round pick, who Brian Flores picked and then proceeded to almost never play. He sealed the deal after having a not great game. Granted, he was targeted heavily. Xavier Howard had like 2 passes thrown his way, maybe a couple more, but they were just like, all right, X, we're not going to throw to him. He might pick it off. We're just going to go at Noah. He's a backup. He's seemingly not that great based on Flores's, feelings on him from the past few years. And they did have some success, but at the end of the day, Noah sealed the deal. He got on the elevator at the Miami Dolphins training facility. He is the picture on the Victory Monday, so big shout out to him. I mentioned it in the last episode that he had a couple of decent plays against Minnesota. Hopefully this is a chance for him to really turn not only his season, but his career. Turn his career around. I mean, he was headed, to not the best place, potentially being out of the league, certainly off of the Dolphins before this season, but he's played okay, and hopefully he can just keep improving, and hey, maybe he'll be a key contributor to the secondary because they need him. One of the good things about doing this on Monday instead of Sunday night directly after the game is that I can report that Brandon Jones is going to IR. No official word on which IR it is, but the vibe that we get is that he might be done for the season, which is just a huge hit. And with Byron Jones being hurt, with Nick Needham out for the season, This secondary is very talented and very deep, but you can only weather so many injuries. Moving back to the offense, I want to give Raheem Mostert shout out. He had 79 yards on 16 carries, and then he also had 30 yards on 4 receptions, including the only touchdown for the Dolphins. So, huge shout out to him there. Jalen Waddle led the team in receiving yards with 88 on 4 receptions. Tyreek Hill led the team on receptions with 7 for 72, though two and him seem to be not on the same page several times. Hopefully that's just because of the rust that Tua would have. He's not been practicing the last few weeks, so we'll see. At the end of the day, this was not a pretty game, but this was a game the Dolphins were expected to win, and they did win, regardless of how it looked. And at first it looked like it was going to be a blowout, but hey, we'll take a 16-10 win. We needed to get back after dropping 3 games in a row. We need to get back in the winners column. So happy with Tua's performance for the most part. Obviously, those passes that should have been intercepted, not great, but they weren't, luckily, so it doesn't matter, right? Josh Allen had a lot of passes in the Dolphins-Bills game that probably should have been intercepted as well and weren't, so they don't count against him. So we're going to look toward the future. Our schedule lets up a little bit. I believe we have the Lions next, so that's good for the Dolphins. And then obviously playing the NFC North, that's good for the Dolphins. That division is not the greatest. We've already played the Vikings, who are leading it, so Packers lost to the Jets and Commanders in back-to-back weeks. They don't seem to be as good as they've been in years past, so we'll see. Overall, very optimistic for the remaining games going on here. We've also kind of lucked out with teams that I thought were going to be kind of as good or like competing with the Dolphins falling off. You have the Broncos playing well below their preseason expectations. Chargers even not playing that well. Colts just benched Matt Ryan, which was surprising to me after the huge game he had in Jacksonville. But again, they lost to the Titans last week. So he's apparently done in Indianapolis, which is just shocking considering what they gave up for him in his contract. But hey, that is the NFL. That's just how it is. So what did you think about the Sunday Night Football game? Obviously, we could have more offense in the future, and more offense will come. The Steelers had a rookie quarterback. He made some rookie mistakes. We have a rookie head coach. He's going to make some rookie mistakes too. But I think overall positive heading into the rest of the season. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Cover the Dolphins every week in the Miami segment. And then we have this all the other sports. We're also getting into the other kind of football, soccer. So if you're a fan of that, please stick around on the channel. As for me, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at channel is on Twitter at Sport Everything. Instagram, we give you everything. Twitch.tv/WikiGetEverything, and on TikTok, search Wiki Sports. Search Wiki Get Everything. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you